Hi, I'm Mikhail. I make games and teach about games at Tallinn University in Estonia. I was born and raised in Belarus and spent the first 25 years of my life there. Over the past few months, like many other Belarusians across the globe, I have been following the ongoing political crisis in my home country, triggered by a blatantly falsified election rigged in favor of the incumbent president, and followed by police brutality, a violent crackdown on the opposition, and mass detentions of peaceful protesters. As a Belarusian living abroad, I often get asked about the events in my country. People want to know about the history and the political landscape, some express incredulity over the fact that the sitting president can continue clinging on to power despite the will of the people. Some asked about the role of the judiciary and the parliament. So in the days when the voting had concluded, the opposition had found itself jailed or forced to flee the country, and the nation was bracing itself for the upcoming formal announcement of the election results. I found myself doing the one thing I knew how. I made a game. The game is in part an answer to the questions people have been asking about the situation in Belarus, in part an attempt at documenting what seemed like a significant moment in the nation's history, and in part self-therapy. I initially considered making a game about an opposition candidate running for the president's office under a dictatorial regime, but the events of the previous weeks had amply demonstrated just how little agency such a candidate has in a system such as the one we have in Belarus. And what's a video game without agency? So instead I made a text-based simulation of rigging an election where you play as the main rigger, chief election officer. The game attempts to explore what had become a morbid fascination of mine, the mind of a dictator's enabler, the kind of person whose job it is to know every law, if only to systematically violate them and then deny any wrongdoing. I decided against using real names in the game, including that of the country. I did not want to commit to the game being a documentary, especially given how little I know about the actual inner workings of the election committee in a secretive dictatorial nation such as Belarus. I also felt like personally naming the victims of the dictatorship might cause further pain to their families and loved ones. Instead, the game is a fictionalized account of actual cases of election rigging that took place in Belarus. But when the player completes the game, they are presented with a list of articles from such news media as the BBC and Euronews, covering the actual events that served as inspiration for the game. The game takes about 30 minutes to complete and can be played in any modern browser. Some of the music you hear in the game is based on traditional folk music from Belarus. I hope you find the experience meaningful.